Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 5th of January, 2026. It's a Monday. And as always, I'm holding the media's feet to the fire because they lie, and as a result... All right, welcome to the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Dave vonKleist, and yes, I'm here, WTF. I've got the audio receipts. I'm here with the facts, WTF, and if those facts make you exclaim WTF, well then so be it. Let the chips fall where they may. Anyway, so much going on, and first of all, I want to, didn't get a chance to wish you all a happy new year. I ended up taking a couple of days off last week, for personal reasons, and plus I was kind of feeling under the weather. The scare tactics are in full bloom right now. Yes, the flu is hitting all over the country. Yes, so they're ramping it up again. Yep, get in line, go get your flu hokey pokey thingy dingy. And get tested for the CV, you know what I'm talking about. Yep, that's what they're doing again. And, of course, the American sheeple, many of them will just line right up and say, me first, me, I want the hokey thingy-dingy. I don't know, when will they learn? Anyway, got a whole bunch of stuff I want to get to today. I'm not quite sure where to start, but I suppose the big news, well, there's a lot of big news going on right now, but right now everybody's talking about Venezuela. Yeah, Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro is pled not guilty in New York today, and it's kind of interesting because... their protesters are out there. Well, right off the bat, let's review what just happened over this past weekend. Now, we were told that at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, which of course Friday night, Saturday morning, that's when this secret raid happened. Yeah, that's when, they went in there and they extracted Nicolas Maduro and his wife. And of course, President Trump said that, this was secret. He didn't want to tell Congress because we have leakers. So he didn't tell Congress that he was going to do this. So the question is, if he didn't tell anybody that he was going to go do this, this was a secret operation, and nobody was to know about it, well, then riddle me this, campers. And again, this happened at 2 a.m. Saturday morning. Okay? 5 hours later, at 7 a.m. Saturday morning, protesters were already in the streets with printed banners and posters and all kinds of professionally produced printed material. Wait, how did that happen? How is it, if this was a secret operation that Trump couldn't even tell Congress about it, how is it that 7 o'clock, only 5 hours later, on a Saturday morning, that there were protesters in the streets with pre-printed posters and big, long banners, no war in Venezuela? I mean, how did this happen? Are we watching a movie? I'm just curious. How the heck does this go down? I mean, I'm really scratching my head. It's like face-palmed stuff. But I'm just trying to figure this out. So if anybody has an answer, I would love to know. And if you've got an answer to that question, then you can give me a call. I'll put you right on. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. So, let's think about this. How the heck did people know about this and in advance to be able to have these posters all made? I want to know how this is happening. As a matter of fact, there's a guy that was posting. Let me see if I can pull this up here. This guy was making a very legitimate point, and he was in New York, and he posted this on X. This was posted by Erica RN for USA, and this was a video taken in New York City.
Riddle me this, Batman. Explain to me how, after Trump goes into Venezuela in the middle of the night, a couple of hours later, In New York, you have an organized march with thousands of people with banners, signs, flags, and the signs are all matching.
Yeah.
They've all been printed. They were at the same print press.
Mm-hmm.
Who's working overtime? Who's setting this up? Are these guys paid? Like, there is no way that you can get all these people and have all these signs overnight. I'm sorry, and not even a couple of hours.
Yeah.
These people were out in the morning. Trump was going to Venezuela at 2 or 3 in the morning. And these people were out like, what, 7, 8, 9? Organized? Bro, who's doing this?
No kidding.
I'm sorry. This is not organic.
No.
Not one freaking bit is this organic. And they were all over Times Square. Like, look at this. Look at these signs.
Unbelievable.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All matching. Listen, if they were handwritten, fine. But they're printed. And they have long banners as well.
Yeah.
Look at this. This is great.
This is crazy. Yeah, that posted on TikTok. I mean, we're not stupid. We're not stupid. And you know what? This isn't the first time it's happened. I remember when Trump was elected back in 2016, when he got when he beat Hillary. The next morning, people were out there. The Democrats were freaking out, and they had all their pre-printed signs all ready to go. And the results hadn't come in until, again, 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. And yet the next morning, they're out there with pre-printed signs, all this information. How does this happen? How is this possible? Unless we are watching a movie. Unless this is all being put out there for public consumption. This is insanity. Just craziness. Let me see. I'm scrolling through here. Now, there's another reason. Let me see here. Let me see if I can't find this here. Oh, yeah. Jack Keane made a massive Freudian slip on Fox News when they were discussing Venezuela. As a matter of fact, now just rewinding a little bit, we know that Maduro has been no friend of Israel. He's been out there railing against the genocide and the Gaza thing, and he's been calling them Satanists and all this stuff. And it's not like we haven't been hearing this from many other different sources. But we know that Maduro was no friend of Israel, of Bibi Netanyahu. And we also know that, let me see, Maria Makoda, she is set to take the place of Maduro. And listen to what she had to say here. Here it is.
I would like to thank Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of the State of Israel.
I promise we one day will have a close relationship between Venezuela and Israel.
I myself look forward to visit the State of Israel as soon as we conquer freedom.
As soon as we conquer freedom. That's an interesting statement. So we know that that Bibi's got her in his back pocket. All right. Now there's another. Let me see. Here's Jack Keane, and he was on Fox News discussing this situation. Listen carefully to what he said.
The implications here are really great for the Venezuelan people.
Whoa! Run that back by me again. Did you hear it? Listen again.
The implications here are really great for the Venezuelan people.
Oh, for Israel. Oh, let's see. Bibi Netanyahu goes to Washington. Yeah, this last week, and within 24 hours, Trump has this big military action. Now, how did that happen? Of course. Let me see. Also here, let me see if I can bring this up here. It says here, breaking, Venezuela's former chief of national intelligence, Hugo Carvajal, has officially released every U.S. senator who is on the Venezuela list of politicians who have been receiving millions of dollars in kickbacks from the Maduro regime and Venezuelan drug trafficking organizations that make up his government in exchange for using their government positions and influence to undermine President Trump and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth's ongoing war with these narco-terrorists. Every one of these senators is guilty of providing aid and comfort to the enemy during a time of war and has blood of their fellow American citizens, hundreds of thousands of them who died from drug overdoses every year at the hands of these criminal drug trafficking organizations that bring deadly drugs into our country on their hands. May each and every one of them be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and may their names forever live in shame for their treason. And then it says, below is every U.S. senator on the Venezuela list. Okay, so if we have a whole bunch of senators, and there's a list here, gosh, there's got a whole bunch of them. There's got to be 30 or 40 of them here. Lisa Murkowski, Mark Kelly, Ruben Gallego, Alex Padilla, Adam Schiff, Michael Bennett, John Hickenlooper, Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, Chris Murphy from Connecticut. Let me see, Chris Coons in Delaware. I'm going to skip down here. Ralph Warnock from Georgia, Brian Schatz from Hawaii, Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, Dick Durbin, from Illinois, of course, Chuck Grassley, Tammy Duckworth, Joni Ernst, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, really? Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Angus King, Chris Van Hollen, Angela Alsobrooks, Elizabeth Warren, of course, Ed Markey. I mean, all of these people. Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, Roger Ricker, Deb Fisher. Let me see, Catherine Cortez Masto. Let me see, Cory Booker, of course he's there. Andy Kim, Chuck Schumer, Chucky. I'm going to get to him in a minute too. Anyway, it goes on. They're just all on the take. I mean, it's just so no wonder Trump didn't want to tell Congress that he was going to do this. It was secret because somebody would have leaked it. All right, that's what he said on the news conference. Is there are leakers. All right. And again, that draws me brings me back to the question, if this was a secret operation at 2 a.m., how is it that there's people in the streets with professionally printed posters and banners 5 hours later? Craziness, insanity. Okay, let me see. Where am I going to go with that? All right, speaking of this whole thing with Maduro and Venezuela, let's turn the clock back 6 years. Chuck Schumer, of course, he and others were pushing for regime change in Venezuela. Yeah. Okay. Here's Chuck Schumer back in 2020. Listen to this.
Brags about all these things he wants to do or is doing, but his actions belie his words. Maybe the best metaphor was his claim to bring democracy to Venezuela. There was a big policy there.
Mm-hmm.
It flopped.
Oh.
If the policy was working, Juan Guaido wouldn't be in the balcony here. He'd be in Venezuela. He'd be sitting in the president's palace.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least waging a fight to win. He's here. And the president brags about his Venezuela policy? Give us a break. He hasn't brought an end to the Maduro regime. The Maduro regime is more powerful today and more entrenched today than it was when the president began.
Okay, so that's 2020. Now, also under the Biden administration, of course, Karine Jean-Pierre was talking about President Maduro, and here's what she had to say. Now, again, this is turning the clock back. This is, just so the Democrats can have their voice out there. Here she is.
Quickly turn to Venezuela, where Maduro once again demonstrated his complete disregard for democratic norms and proceeded with his illegitimate inauguration. As President Biden emphasized during his meeting with President-elect Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia on Monday, January 6, we believe that it is essential that the will of the Venezuelan people is respected. In coordination with our partners, we've given Maduro and his representatives every opportunity to restore democracy, but they haven't. So today we are building on all of our previous actions and taking further major actions. We announced new sanctions on key Maduro-aligned officials as a part of our efforts to hold them accountable, and we imposed more visa restrictions totaling nearly 2,000 individuals. We also increased the reward amount to $25 million for Nicolas Maduro and his so-called Minister of Interior as part of the Department of State's Narcotics Rewards Program.
So they had a reward out there. Yeah. And they wanted him taken down. The Narcotics Reward Program. You just heard it. So now that Trump's in there, okay, you can't do that. You see, I mean, the stench of the hypocrisy just curls my nose hairs. So anyway, so you got Chuck Schumer back there in 2020, and now yesterday on, I think it was Meet the Press, one of the Sunday news broadcasts, he had the following to say.
President Trump say that he intends for the United States to run Venezuela. It was reckless. It was dangerous. And looking at the president's demeanor, he didn't even seem to be aware of how dangerous and reckless it is. Let me be clear. Maduro is an illegitimate dictator, but launching military action without congressional authorization, without a credible plan for what comes next, is reckless. Now, I was in the skiff on 3 different occasions, as recently as December, and I asked the administration, I asked them, are you pursuing regime change? Are you intent on taking military action in Venezuela, Venezuelan territory? And they assured me that they were not pursuing those things. Clearly, they're not being straight with the American people. So I've been talking to so many members of my caucus today. Everybody is very, very just totally troubled, worried about how dangerous this is. Let me lay out just a few of the actions that have already been taken to hold the Trump administration accountable. First, Leader Jeffries and I called on the Trump administration to brief the Gang of Eight immediately, followed shortly by a briefing for the entire Congress in the beginning of next week.
So, again, the flip-flops continue. Okay, so on one hand, yeah, they say, it's 5-6 years ago, yeah, we got to take him out, get him out of there. And now that Trump goes in there and got him out of there, they say, you can't do that. So, and again, I mean, the hypocrisy is just insane, just crazy. Anyway, yeah, the phone line is open here. If you have an explanation as to how these protesters got all of these posters and banners within 5 hours after the strike was made, I'd like to know. 215-867-8255. Again, that's 215-867-8255. Now, one more thing on this thing about Venezuela. It seems that, the American people have the attention span of a potato. We seem to have forgotten that it's been going on for 20 years about this issue about election integrity. Yeah. Election machines, Smartmatic, Sequoia, all this. This has been going on for a long time. And I remind you, Trump signed these executive orders back in 2018, one of which I think it was 13848 or was it 13818? I forget which one it was, but it had to do with election interference. And if any country or entity, stuff like that, is found to be involved in manipulating or somehow, altering the elections, well, there's hell to pay. Yeah, because all of your assets can be seized. I would love to see that happen. But let's turn the clock back and talk about the Smartmatic machines and the involvement that Venezuela had with that. And this was reported on CNN. Listen to this.
Antonio Mujica and his partner Alfredo Anzola received a small business loan from the Venezuelan government only months before the recall election. These corporate registration documents from Venezuela show the Venezuelan government owned 28% of the stock of another company they started, Bizta, which adapted voting software for the Smartmatic machines in the 2004 elections. The same document shows a Chavez government minister, Omar Montillo, was on the board of directors. The Chavez government gave Bizta, Smartmatic, and another company a $91 million contract to run voting machines for the 2004 election. The next year, the owners of Smartmatic, primarily owned by Venezuelan businessmen, bought Sequoia, one of the top electronic voting system companies in the United States, for $16 million. Smartmatic is a labyrinth of international holding companies owned by Venezuelan businessmen. Smartmatic Group NV of Curaçao, Netherlands, Antilles owns Smartmatic International BV of Amsterdam, Netherlands, owns Smartmatic Corporation of Florida, which bought Sequoia Voting Systems of California, USA. When Smartmatic bought the U.S. voting machine companies, the U.S. government did not review the sale. Many experts say those voting machines were manipulated in Venezuela to give President Hugo Chavez a victory. Exit polls done by the U.S. firm Penn, Schoen and Berland had Chavez losing 41% to 59%. But the next day, Chavez declared victory, reversing the score, saying he won 59% of the vote.
Everything was computed in the favor of the government. So the only explanation is that the Smartmatic machines had been programmed in that way.
A Harvard mathematician crunched the numbers on the Venezuelan election.
It had to be the Smartmatic system. All these machines talk to a central computer and report on their results. And in that mechanism, as they communicate with the central machine can report anything.
Smartmatic is technically based in Boca Raton, Florida, but the president of the company, Jack Blaine, testified to the Chicago City Council. Fewer than a dozen Smartmatic employees work in Florida. The majority of the workers are based in Venezuela.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Anyway, there's two different ways to look at this thing in Venezuela. On one hand, for the reasons that I'm just explaining right now, if Venezuela was directly involved in manipulating our elections, of course, we're talking about the 2020 election, that would legitimize, in some people's minds, an action against Venezuela. And there are a lot of people out there, as far as the election integrity issue is concerned, they'd be out there fist pumping. Now, there are other people on the other side of the aisle saying, wait a second, this is all about oil. Yeah, okay, well, they've got heavy crude oil that comes out of Venezuela as opposed to the sweet crude that comes out of the Middle East. And it requires special processing to be able to process that heavy crude. So, but it's not just about the oil, folks. And of course, they're all saying that, it's because it's the drugs, it's the fentanyl, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you know what? One of the people who was posting on X, I don't know her name, but she made a very important point. Okay, now there's several different issues to look at this thing with Venezuela. Okay, on one hand, people, if they manipulated our elections and they're involved in the cartels and all that, that would sort of like in some people's minds legitimize a strike and taking him into custody. Okay, now on the other hand, like I said, there are some people out there saying, well, this is an action that was being taken by Trump under the orders of Bibi Netanyahu. Because Maduro is, like I said earlier in this broadcast, he's been very critical about the genocide in Gaza and Zionism, et cetera, and so he's no friend of Israel. However, the woman taking his place definitely can't wait to go to Israel after, they defeat freedom, as she said. Okay? But this is an interesting post. This woman was asking a very important question. Hey, Pam, first day Bondi? Yeah, on day one Bondi. Well, this woman's asking the same question. Here she is.
I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. We have the money and the resources to send a full military, expensive operation into a foreign nation over fentanyl that does not come from that nation, actually comes from our southern border, to arrest somebody over the fentanyl weapon of mass destruction that was not mentioned once in the supposed indictment. Because our government wants to hold the criminal accountable to face U.S. justice, but we can't arrest a single pedophile! You have 1 million pages, you say, of pedophiles on your desk. Here, in America, and you can't find a single officer to arrest a pedophile. Do I have that right? Do I understand that correctly? Well, I guess the pedophiles don't have the largest oil reserves in the world.
Ooh.
And I suppose the pedophiles don't openly have an opposition supporter that has promised to move their embassy to J-Town, right? And I suppose the pedophiles don't have the largest rare earth minerals in the world that America needs access to if we want to keep up with the CHIPS Act. That is really just a big, giant handout to the mega corporations that are artificially propping up our economy right now. We definitely can go to another country to collect a criminal that doesn't actually have the things that we claim that we're arresting them for in the indictment that we used absolutely not at all fabricated or faked to go and collect them in another country and steal them from a sovereign nation. But we can't arrest a single pedophile here at home. Is that right, Pam Bondi?
Isn't that right, Pam Bondi? Now, she's making some good points. And there's another factor that we need to put into this little pot here is the silver. Yeah, have you been watching the metals markets? Silver and gold are just going absolute bonkers. And there are a lot of people that are predicting that it's going to take off like a rocket. Well, it turns out that, Venezuela's got some very serious silver reserves. That might be a factor as well. Especially since Samsung now has figured out that silver is a very critical element to use in the manufacture of their batteries. Yeah, silver has a tendency to help these batteries last longer and charge faster, et cetera, and the EVs, the electric vehicles that they're going to be producing now, are going to require up to 3 kilos of silver each. Can you imagine the physical demand for that critical element? Yeah, so maybe that has something to do with it. Could be. I don't know. What do you think, campers? Again, the phone line is open. If you want to join me, you're welcome to do so. 215-867-8255. Let's see if we can't make sense of some of this madness.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now, the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
Okay, hold on there, caller. All right, let's go to Chicago. Say hi to Jerry. Jerry, thank you for holding. You're on the air. What do you got?
Hey, this is what I got for you. I started using that GetMoreTank.com back around May in 2 different vehicles. And I'll tell you what, my fuel economy went up in one of them, Toyota RAV4 2019, and went up about 4.6 miles per gallon. I keep track of it.
Wow, good for you.
And 2019 Ford Transit with a 5-cylinder inline diesel engine, I went from 15.8 average to 17.2. And I'm also putting it in my chainsaw. I haven't noticed the difference with the chainsaw. I can't figure fuel economy on that. But, hey, that's all I wanted to say to you. Have a good show.
Hey, Jerry, thank you so much for the endorsement. It's a good product. It really is. And not only that, I'm sure that everything's running better as well. I noticed that in my my Toyota Highlander. When I hit the gas, I almost feel G-forces, you know. So, hey, thank you much for that endorsement, Jerry. I appreciate that. Yeah. And you can get More Tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page. It'll take you down to a window where you can click on the Get More Tank logo. It'll tell you all about the specifications and details, how and why this stuff works, and why you people should be using this stuff. Again, you're going to get 15 to 20% better mileage once you've started using this, and that equates to money in your pocket. In one purchase, you're going to save, save a lot of money. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, and click on the sponsors page and get more tank. It helps us keep the lights on here. Okay, we got a caller that's patiently holding. Go to the phones. Okay, caller, thank you for your patience. You are on the air. Who are you and where are you calling from? Hello, caller, you're on the air. One last time, if you're listening to your computer, there's a bit of a delay, so get on your phone. Oh, well, I guess they're listening. Yes, that's it. Come to the phone. Get to your phone.
Okay, just a moment. I'm sorry. I can't hear you that well. Let me see if I can adjust this.
No, just forget your device. Don't listen to your computer or your phone. Just get on the phone. There you go.
Okay, if it's me, I think I can hear you much better now.
Well, that'll work. Okay, what you got for me today?
Fantastic. Hi there. Okay. I've been watching a few films about the currency, so maybe you can set me straight about this. And if you don't want to talk about this now, I can try to call back on Friday.
Okay, well, what's your topic? Is it are we sticking on the issue about Venezuela and the posters and the banners and all that? What are you bringing to the table today?
No, I was trying to talk about the currency. So if you don't want to discuss it, that's fine. I can try to call back on Friday.
Okay, well, in a nutshell, what is your issue about the currencies?
Well, I was watching a film, either Fiat Empire or Money Masters, one of the two, and they made a claim during the film that we won't be getting rid of the national debt until we get rid of the currency. Is that the case?
Well, that makes sense to me. I mean, the national debt is all, based on fiat. We have to ask the question, who do we owe this money to anyway? Is this interest on the debt? I mean, on the printing of this money? And if it's all fraud, it's all fiat. Well, fraud, what do they say? Fraud vitiates everything. But no, I mean, maybe if they get away, do away with the U.S. dollar and the Federal Reserve and everything. I mean, from what I understand, our budget, all of the taxes go to the IMF anyway. They don't, they go to service the debt. So I don't see how we could ever get out of debt. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a guru when it comes to high finance.
Okay, thank you. Keep up the good work.
Okay, my dear. I wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. So, all right. I'm going to change gears a little bit here. So that's what the segue music is for. Okay, going to change gears a little bit. The hokey pokey thingy dingies back in the news again. Like I was saying a couple of minutes ago, that you're seeing on the news that they're pushing the fact that the flu is spreading all over the country. Now, I'll be the first one to admit, yeah, I came down with something about a week ago, and it was not fun. I mean, I was, sneezing and coughing and snotting and blowing and all that kind of stuff, and plus I was feverish. And wasn't so that's why I had a couple of cancellations on my on the show. So anyways, let me stop this. Go away. All right. Unfortunately, my phone was ringing. It was such a distraction. But anyway, excuse me. The hokey pokey thingy dingy's back in the news again. But as we now know, there are doctors all over the world that have been screaming from the rooftops that this is the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity. And Senator Ron Johnson is asking doctors, nurses, health providers all over the country, and indeed all over the world, to come out of the shadows, because so many of them, they see what's going on. They understand, there's nurses that have come forward and saying, yes, we watched these people die in the hospital when they were put on remdesivir and on ventilators. And they were actually just killing people. I mean, it just doesn't sound right. But a lot of these doctors have got to understand, when they took the Hippocratic Oath, that means do no harm. And so Ron Johnson is putting the plea out there. Everybody's got to come forward and speak out against this insanity to inject every human being on the planet with these spike proteins and the mRNA technology. graphene oxide. Oh, gosh. Here's Senator Ron Johnson.
If you're a doctor and you are awakened to what's happened, if you know that it's wrong and it's not right, don't sit by the sidelines anymore. Don't let just Peter McCulloch and Dr. Malone and Pierre Corey and all these courageous doctors who've stepped forward to warn the public. They need help. We literally need thousands of doctors who are aware of the problem to join together. There is safety in numbers, and be honest and truthful with the American public. I'm begging doctors, I'm begging nurses to come forward, join together as one massive group, and put an end to this insanity. And help restore yourselves to the position that I think you all thought you'd be in going through medical school and taking that Hippocratic oath. Being loyal first to your patients and being the one to call the shots when it comes to how you care for your patients.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you got a senator making such a statement, asking, doctors and nurses and health providers to come forward and tell the truth, what does this tell you about the confidence that the American people have in their medical systems? It's not real good, that's for sure. And the reasons are just piling up and piling up. There's a British professor by the name of John Bell who was being interviewed, and he had the following to say. Oh, this is interesting. Listen to this.
These vaccines are unlikely to completely sterilize a population. They're very likely to have an effect which works in a percentage, say 60 or 70%.
Okay, I'm going to pause it. Do you hear what he just said? I'm going to back it up so you hear that with both ears.
These vaccines are unlikely to completely sterilize a population.
They're to completely sterilize a... What?
Very likely to have an effect which works in a percentage, say 60 or 70%. We'll have to look quite carefully, and the regulators will have to look quite carefully to make sure that it's done what we need it to do before it gets approved. So there will be a delay between the outcome of the trial and a decision whether it can be approved as a vaccine. Anything that happens to undermine the legitimacy of regulators to make independent decisions is, in my view, profoundly unhelpful.
Professor Sir John Bell, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Wow. So the issue about sterilization is back into the news again. Now, I remind you, I covered this about 6-7 months ago. Dr. Naomi Wolf, bless her heart, she was doing studies on the female reproductive systems and how they have been affected by the hokey pokey thingy dingy, and that miscarriages are running at 80%. 80% of pregnancies are ending up in miscarriages. Not only that, but the women's ovaries are being destroyed by the spike proteins. And then there was the other doctor who passed away. What was his name? Ernst Burkholdt, something like that. And he did a study on the male reproductive systems and found that the spike proteins had replaced the sperm. What? Now remember, I remind you folks, the Georgia Guidestones, number one tenet, and I quote, maintain humanity at no more than 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So the current population is 8 billion people thereabouts. That means 7.5 billion people have to perish. And they have to do it in such a way that you can't point your finger at anybody and say it's your fault or it's your fault or it's their fault. No, it's got to look like it's completely organic. It was, just meant to be an act of God. Yeah, right. Well, guess what? That's not the case. There's another woman. Her name is Rosa Koyer, and she was posting. She posted this. Listen to this one.
China was one of the signatories to Agenda 21, which is not a treaty. It is an agreement, right? They signed on to it, and you know what? They have their own Agenda 21, like every country does that's signed on. And in theirs, they have a population control clause. They're working on a sterilization vaccine with the United States.
Okay. Okay, part of the agenda. Yeah, Agenda 21, now it's Agenda 2030. They keep moving the goalposts. I mean, thank God for that in this particular case. But, that seems to be the overall goal, is to reduce the world population. Now, of course, there's several different ways to do that. One of them is, of course, war. Yeah, this whole thing with Venezuela, a lot of people are saying, well, China's going to be on Venezuela's side. Russia's going to be on Venezuela's side. Well, let me see who was behind this push to have the United States take out Maduro. And again, I remind you, it was Bibi Netanyahu who was in Washington a couple days before this. As a matter of fact, I believe he left the United States less than 24 hours before this strike in Venezuela. Of course, you can't say anything about that, okay, because you're going to be labeled and tagged. But as a matter of fact, I have an audio clip here of Bibi Netanyahu, and he's, of course, speaking in Hebrew, but the translation is as follows. And you tell me if this doesn't sound like a threat. Here it is. I demand that Western governments do what is necessary to fight anti-Semitism and provide the safety and security for Jewish communities worldwide. You need to heed our warnings, and I demand action from them now. Whoa, he's demanding action. He's telling all the other countries, you better do what I say, because we've got to stop the anti-Semitism. Well, Bibi, it's real simple. Why don't you stop doing horrific things and people won't hate you? Oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. What, from a population that you have been torturing, bombing, killing, depriving, imprisoning for 78 years, and you expect these people to bake you a cake? What the heck? Can you try, offering an olive branch instead of bombing everybody? Okay. All right, let's go to the phones. That was good timing. Okay, welcome, caller. I'm just face palming here.
You got me laughing, really. I mean, this is just so crazy. Hi, Dave. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, Carolyn.
Carolyn over here. But, on a couple points, I literally am hearing in my head when I hear the anti-Semitism, especially from him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually reversing it in my head, hearing anti-Zionist. Like, so he wants to get rid of the anti-Zionist.
Well, they're trying to put the two of them together. They are not the same. Zionism and Judaism are two different things.
I know. It's just that it's almost getting, it's so serious, it's not comical, but it is comical. It's like you said, especially the bake and the cake. Oh, man, sorry for the beeps coming in. So, to your point about the signs, the pre-planned materials, sorry about the beeps, the only thing I can guess is that it's already they're obviously pre-made. That's a given, and just assuming that it's inevitable, and so they're just prepared. Either that, or perhaps it's maybe not even about a leak, but maybe it's coming from the state of Israel.
Even if they had, prior knowledge that it was going to happen at some point. The point is that it happened at 2 a.m. on Saturday morning. Most people were in bed asleep. And yet at 7 o'clock, they're out there in the streets with these signs.
But they were prepared. Somehow
yeah, but how?
They had the signs prepared, obviously. Could be weeks in advance, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? Prepared weeks in advance, potentially.
Yeah, but Trump said...
It was just a matter of when.
Yeah, but Trump said he didn't even tell Congress that he was going to do it because it had a whole bunch of leakers in there.
Maybe it came from Israel.
Okay, yeah. How did Israel get in touch with all these New Yorkers? Where did all of those posters and banners come from? What did Israel make them? I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put anything past them.
Yeah. I mean, or the people that I don't even know what they're protesting. They haven't really been that privy to what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all part of the game. It's all part of it. And as far as the shots go, the doctors better start coming forward. I mean, it's kind of like, like, or forever hold your peace, because, and go to jail.
Okay. Aaron.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to keep up. We're not going to take this at some point. Whatever's going to happen. There are those of us, unfortunately, not aware of our constitutional rights, which is the majority of the battle here, not realizing that they're being boiled slowly. Period.
Yeah, boiling the frog.
Goes, yeah, when you talked about the shots, what pops into my head immediately is genocide. It's just obvious.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my piece, and sticking to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm going to let you go so I don't interrupt your call.
It's okay, Carolyn. All right. Happy New Year. I appreciate your calling in. All right. Well, yeah. Well, I remind you, and again, this is really important. This is like a no-brainer. You don't need a whole bunch of brain cells to figure this one out. The motto of the Israeli Mossad, and I have to assume the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, the motto is, and I quote, "By way of deception, thou shalt do war." By way of deception. In other words, they will lie. This is their motto. This is their commandment. That's why it says, "Thou shalt do war." They are commanded to deceive you. They are commanded to lie to you. And I found it very interesting that Laura Logan, she was talking to Aaron Siri about the hokey pokey thingy dingy. Here's what Laura Logan said. And again, listen for that word, deception.
Okay, Aaron, on the one hand, it's a very rational argument, and it's so interesting to hear you make it. But then on the other hand, I'm just going to remind you, they kill people.
Talking about the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, I'm going to pause it because they took the word, there's a 4-letter word that means unalived, and there's certain words that you just can't say or else you're going to get banned. So when you're going to unalive somebody, you can fill in the blank. You know what the word, it's a 4-letter word, starts with K and it ends with LL, okay? Anyway, here's her continuing.
No, not just the COVID vaccine.
Other vaccines?
Yes, they kill people and they kill children.
Yes.
And they hurt babies. They have created a system in which we unknowingly and blindly go like lambs to the slaughter, and we offer up our kids to the system, and we do it based on deception.
There's that word.
Been deceived.
Yeah, there's that word, deception, deceived. By deception thou shalt do war.
Into thinking that we're helping our children, and we're hurting them.
Okay, so now I have to ask the question. I'm gonna pause this again. We have to look at the manufacturers of the hokey pokey thingy dingies. Okay, now there's Merck, and there's Johnson & Johnson, and there's Pfizer, okay, AstraZeneca. Now, we have to ask the question, who is in charge of all of these different organizations? What particular group is represented by all of these organizations? Now, again, you can't even talk about that, because if you do, Leora Rez is going to come after you. Leora Rez, of course, is in charge of the group called Stop Anti-Semitism. And listen to this.
We will shine a light on you that, thanks to Google and SEO, will follow you for the rest of your life. When you look for a job, when you look for a spouse, when you look for a nanny, when you look for anything, our work will always be documented, again, thanks to Google and SEO. In corporations where DEI leaders smeared Israel, excused Hamas, we pressured CEOs. Some resigned, many were terminated, but policies were changed, thankfully.
In other words, what she and others are saying is that it's a conspiracy theory to accuse the Jews of being in control of everything. And so to prove that, we're going to control everything. We have to control all of this misinformation and malinformation and propaganda accusing us of controlling everything. So we're going to clamp down on it. Does anybody see what's wrong with that? Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It is pretty crazy. And in the meantime, there are rabbis out there that are screaming about, trying to separate Judaism from Zionism, because now there's a real push right now. You can't criticize Zionism. They'll call you an anti-Semite. Okay, I mean, the propaganda is unbelievable. Here's Rabbi Cohn talking about Zionism.
My name is Rabbi Cohen, and I'm making this video because it is vital that you should know what I'm about to tell you. Zionists want you to think that Zionism was the Jewish people returning to their ancient homeland. But in reality, Zionism was not the Jewish people doing anything. It was the Zionists doing it. Judaism is a religion, but Zionism is a political movement started by atheists, anti-religious Jews, who thought that if they could change the Jews from a religion into a nationality, the anti-Semites will not hate Jews anymore. From the beginning of Zionism, Jews loyal to the Torah have fought against the Zionists to save the soul of Judaism, the religion, from the nationalist poison that the Zionists wanted to change it into. Zionists want you to think that they represent the Jewish people. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Well, there are two different sets of people who call themselves Jews. All right? And that's a simple fact of the matter. I mean, there are Old Testament Jews. All right, there's no doubt about that. The Old Testament Jews and Christians share the same 10 commandments. They share the same prophets, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yes, they share all this common heritage. All right, but there's a whole nother group out there that adopted, or shall we say, assimilated Judaism back in the 500 AD, 600 AD. Okay, they came from Eastern Europe and South Central Asia. And they were basically descendants of the Khazars, the Khazarians. And let's, do some history on this, folks. But they are not the real Jews. Yeah, the Khazarians, they just didn't want to get involved in the conflict between the Christians and the Muslims, so they decided to take up the Star of David, which there is no such thing. But, they decided to take that up. And this is what, unfortunately, the large percentage of the quote-unquote Jews that are out there are descendants from this particular group that had nothing whatsoever to do with the Middle East. Or maybe 100 or 200 years, after the Romans and stuff, some of them migrated up there. But the bottom line here is that it's not a religion, It's a political dogma. And that's where the Talmud came from. Anyway, we could get into that. One of these days, I'll get an expert on here, and we'll sort this whole thing out. I'm not a theologian, okay? I do some research on this stuff, and I do have a tendency to want to, put the puzzle pieces together. But there are imposters out there, and it's spelled out in the Bible. Revelation 2:9, Revelation 3:9. And then what was it, John, was it 8:44, where Jesus was saying that you are the sons of the devil, and your father is I should pull it up here. I don't want to misquote it. There's plenty of other people out there deliberately misquoting the Bible for their own means. Mike Huckabee? I wonder if anybody's corrected him yet. I was playing that last week or the week before, not once, not twice, but 3 times, deliberately misquoting the Bible to manipulate people. God said, I will bless those who bless Israel, and I will curse those who curse Israel. Nope, that's not what it said. Not. That's not what it said. But unfortunately, he just keeps on saying it. Nobody's corrected him. And Ted Cruz said the same dadgum thing. Anyway. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for today. Let me see. Just about, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Anyway, all right, that's going to wrap it up for today's broadcast. If you're enjoying the WTF reports, please click like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about it. If you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or Facebook or YouTube, whatever, help to spread the word so you can help us keep the lights on. Do business with us. I didn't even talk about the Wave Watch. Yeah, check out our website and check into the Wave Watch. You'll be glad that you did. All right, that said, I'm out of here. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Watch the roaches take fire.